So I have with me a couple of things that I think beginner hikers should always take with them when they're going into the mountains. In fact, I think even experienced hikers can take note of some of these as well. These are things that people either just don't know about or don't always consider before going hiking. Now, these aren't life-saving things. This isn't a survival channel, and it's not an exhaustive list by any means. These are just a few simple things for regular folk going on a day hike. If you bring them with you, you're much less likely to get in trouble, and you're much more likely to enjoy your outdoors experience. So if there's anything at all that I leave off that you think's really important, drop a comment down below and let me know. Let's get into it. So the first thing to bring is water. And what I mean by that is enough water to sustain you throughout the hike. In my experience, people tend to underestimate how much water they're going to need throughout the hike. So it's better to play safe than sorry and always bring more than you think you'll need. If you're going somewhere like Dartmoor, where I am today, there's plenty of stream crossings and you're going to be able to drink that water, but it's not safe to drink it straight from the stream. It could contain harmful parasites, bacteria, viruses, other toxic runoff, animal waste, that sort of thing. There are plenty of animals up here on Dartmoor. So in that scenario, you need to filter the water. So bringing a water filter could be good. There's plenty out there for pretty decent prices and pretty low weight. So it can keep the weight down. It means you don't have to take too many bottles like this. The weight of water does add up pretty quickly. 1 litre of water is 1 kilo in weight. So either bring plenty of water, plenty of bottles like this that can sustain you throughout the hike, or invest in a water filter where you'll be able to collect water throughout the hike. But for the casual weekend hiker, you don't have to invest the extra money in a water filter. Just bring a few more bottles with you and you'll be good to go. This is especially important when hiking in the mountains in the summer or somewhere like Dartmoor, where there's very little tree cover, so you're going to be in the blazing sun throughout the entirety of your hike. Which brings me nicely onto my next piece of gear that you should always bring on a hike, and that is sun cream and a cap. Now, the sun cream is pretty self-explanatory, and the cap will give you extra head and neck protection, as well as reduce the risk of heat stroke, sunstroke, and sunburn on some of your more exposed areas when you're hiking. If you've watched my videos, especially in the summer, you'll notice that I'm always wearing a cap. And it's usually turned backwards. That's not because I'm trying to be cool. It's to cover the back of my neck and the top of my head to make sure I don't get sunburnt. This is especially important if you're hiking somewhere like Dartmoor with vast open areas and very little shade. And if you're hiking in the summer, and let's face it, most beginners are, I think it's absolutely essential. I would, however, extend this to the winter as well and suggest wearing either a woolly hat or a beanie hat of some kind to help keep you warm. It's a well-perpetuated myth that you lose 50% of your body heat through your head. You actually only lose around 10%, which is proportional to the size of your head to the rest of your body. However, if the rest of your body is completely covered and insulated by layers, as it often is when you're hiking in the winter in, well, weather like this really, then your head suddenly becomes the main point of heat loss on your body if you've not got it covered. So a nice warm hat will set you up for a much more comfortable hike in the winter. Okay, the third thing that I wish beginner hikers would bring with them when they go hiking is probably something that they already bring, and that is a mobile phone. But there's something very specific that I think you should have on your phone when you go hiking, and that is downloaded, available offline maps. When hiking on Dartmoor, I've been asked by people multiple times if this trail leads to here, or can I get to here this way, or which tour is that? And these things happen because people don't realise that there's no internet signal once you get out into the wilderness. Google Maps probably isn't going to help you very much on a hike. And if you lose the signal, you're not going to know where you are, where you're going, or how to get back. Now, of course, having a map and compass is essential too, and you should always bring them with you, but they're only any good if you know how to use them. And most casual beginner hikers probably aren't going to spend a weekend studying navigation before they go out on a hike. They're just going to go out on a whim and enjoy themselves and probably think that they don't need this. So my advice would be, yes, have them with them as a backup and know how to use them. Take that time to learn before you go out. But if you're not going to do that, and I know a lot of people aren't, please, please, please have available downloaded offline maps on your phone for the area that you're going to be hiking in, so that you know that if you lose the signal, you're going to be able to find your way back to where you've come from. What I recommend you do is download a map app for your phone. There's plenty of those to choose from. I usually use Outdoor Active. That's just my personal preference, but there's plenty of others out there as well. And download the map for the region that you're going to. So that way, if you do lose internet connection, you're still going to be able to follow your trail. You can plot a route beforehand on there so you can see if you're sticking to the trail or not. So it takes away some of the navigational elements. You can look up what the tours are around you. And most importantly, you know you're going to be able to find your way back to where you started the hike from. It just takes away a load of the worry from your hike, and it means that you can enjoy the hike a little bit more and just have a bit of a better time. And you can see behind me, by the way, what the weather can be like on Dartmoor. you can't see very much. The views that you could be using to navigate your way back can quickly disappear. And the visibility actually isn't even too bad for Dartmoor at the moment. I can probably see about 200-300 feet, but there's been plenty of times when I've been out here and visibility's been about 40 or 50 feet and you can't see anything to navigate off the back of. And that's when, yeah, having downloaded maps on your phone really will help you. Now, I know that there's plenty of old school hikers out there right now that are typing in the comment section down below, and what if your phone breaks? What if you run out of battery? Well, the fourth thing that I'm recommending that you bring with you is a rechargeable power pack. Now, this one that I use has a 20,000 milliampere per hour charging capacity, and I bring it on every hike, every camp. I'm never without it. For me, filming my hikes and camps for YouTube, it's mostly used to keep my cameras charged. It's got 2 USB slots on the bottom there, as you can see, for charging, so I can charge 2 things at once. And it also has a little display screen telling me how much battery I've got left. Now, if you're just going on a day hike and you're only using it to charge your phone rather than filming for YouTube and having to charge 3 different cameras on this thing, then 20,000 milliamperes per hour might be a little bit of overkill. Something like 5,000 milliamperes will be perfectly fine for you, and it will probably also be smaller, lighter and cheaper than the one that I use. But I do highly recommend that you take one with you. If you've watched this video here, you'll know that it got so cold that all my electronics started failing. The cameras started shutting down and my phone dropped from over 60% battery to 10% in a split second, something that it's never done before or since. It's so cold up here now that all of the electrics are starting to fail, apart from the GoPro at the moment. Touch wood. The camcorder is dead, won't turn on at all, and it had a full battery when I left this morning. Also, my phone, which I was filming with just back there, just as we were leaving Yes Tour, turned itself off, turned itself back on again with a message saying this iPhone has had an unexpected shutdown because the battery was unable to deliver peak performance, and it's been changed the power settings to make sure this doesn't happen again. At the same time, the phone dropped from, I think it was on about 60 odd percent, 62 or something like that, down to 10%, just immediately like that. I can only think it's to do with the cold, but I've got a power pack with me, so I've got the phone hooked up to the power pack in my bag, and hopefully at least I'll be able to get that one working again. My point is, unexpected things can happen when you're out on a hike, and if I hadn't had this with me, I'd have had no way of combating that. So the final thing that I think is essential to bringing on a hike is good quality socks. Now, this is something that often gets overlooked when it comes to hiking footwear. People key in on which hiking boots or hiking shoes to wear, but they often forget about the socks, which are almost as important. Personally, my go-to socks for hiking in the winter are these Smartwool socks. I'm even wearing a pair of them today. They're warm, they're comfortable, they're very well cushioned as well. And look, they've even got instructions on the inside. See? Hike. Just in case you forget what to do once you've put them on. In the summer, my favourite socks to wear are these Bridgedale socks, which are light and cushioned, but also very breathable. Now, I will say that when I first started hiking, I looked at the price of hiking socks and I thought there's no way they're worth it. And I suffered a lot of blisters before I tried them for the first time, and now I'm a complete convert to hiking socks. So yes, they are worth it. However, if you want a little tip, when I'm hiking in the summer and I'm wearing hiking shoes rather than hiking boots, I tend to wear these ankle cut running socks. They're much cheaper than hiking socks, and they're also lightweight, breathable, with cushioning in the right places, and they're specifically designed to stop you getting blisters. All right, my new hiking friends, that'll just about do it for this video. If you are a more experienced hiker and you've made it this far, I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button and give it a hype as well. That way YouTube will push it out to more people and we can help as many people as possible. And consider subscribing for more hiking and wild camping content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another adventure.